experience of past super regionals?
Well, and last year when we went out to Tempe, I think we had so many freshmen. We were starting 5 freshmen, and they didn't really know what the NCAA tournament was all about. And I think they were just happy to be there. But I think that when they left the field last year, they weren't satisfied. They felt, good about the season they had, but they weren't satisfied. So I think that that's been the driving force all year. So I just think the experience of playing at an elite level against such a great team has pushed us forward, and hopefully we'll correct some of the mistakes we made last year.
Within this season itself, you guys have played a ton of ranked teams. You've had a lot of success, 12 wins, I think, against ranked teams. How much is that sort of a benefit, knowing that you beat Oklahoma, you beat some of the top teams in the country?
Well, what I think it does is it helps calm the nerves of when you see a hitter get into the box that's 5'10" and big and strong and all that. You get a little nervous if you haven't faced that before. But because we play in the SEC and because we've played so many ranked teams, we're used to seeing outstanding hitters and we're used to seeing outstanding players. Now UCLA obviously is a program just like that. They're the winningest program in college softball. But the fact that we've seen it before, I think, helps keep us focused on the task in hand and not so much about the team that you're playing.
For a program that's been sort of incrementally building and literally building, and has never been to a College World Series, what could getting there do program-wise for you guys?
Well, it would be everything. It would validate everything that we've done here at Kentucky. We have an outstanding facility. We have incredible support from both the athletic department, the president of the university, and the fan base. And so every year every game that we do better, every step that we take further really validates that the blueprint that we've put out here in Kentucky does work. So to get to the World Series would mean everything to not just the program but to the university itself.
What makes UCLA good? What's the challenge they present?
They do a lot of things well. First of all, Southern California is probably the hotbed in college softball, so they have outstanding athletes, and they have a tradition of winning that goes back even longer than I've been playing. So I think the winning tradition, they've handed it down from program to program to program. They have outstanding athletes, and they know how to win, and they play the game the right way. They do everything the right way. So it's a great team. They're used to being on the national scene. They're used to going to the World Series, and when they play a team like Kentucky, we're just a stepping stone to where they want to go. It's not, they're not going to feel a lot of pressure. We're just another cog in that wheel for them. So I think that presents a little bit of a problem for us and more of an ease for them. I mean, they're on a mission to get back to the World Series. They haven't been there in a couple of years. So I think that's kind of some of the things we face when we're going out to LA.
Is that something you use for your team, that hey, they sort of expect to step over you on the way to another World Series?
We're not really motivated like that. We try to focus on what we need to do well. With that said, I'm probably sure they know that. So I think our team focuses on what they need to do. I think they focus on each pitch at a time, and that's just not a trite thing that I'm saying. That's really what they have to do. If they start thinking about UCLA and how good they are and how they want to step on us, they'll take their focus from what they need to do, which is put runs on the board. So I think they know that they have to stay focused. And also the SEC, everybody has looked at Kentucky that way for a number of years. And just recently we've understood that we belong on the national stage with everybody else, and we are a program to deal with. So I think we've been through that before, so I don't think it'll pose much of a problem for us at all.
You guys went out there in 12, I guess, and didn't fare so well. How are you better equipped now to handle going out there on a stage like this?
Well, yeah, we were horrible the last time we were out there, but the team is completely different now. The players that we had at that point were good, but it was the first weekend of that year. It was 2012. We were much different at the end of that season than we were at the beginning, and at that point I think we were just shell-shocked to be in LA, to be that softball mecca, and just to be out there. And we made a lot of mistakes, a lot of key mistakes in the outfield. So things that looked like hits probably should have been caught, and they ended up being multiple runs. And I think it just snowballed. So to be honest with you, it's a completely different year. So I'm not expecting the same thing will happen. And the other thing is I think that Kelsey Nunley is very steady. So hopefully she'll be able to keep the runs to where they're manageable so that we can outscore our opponent.
And what about Carta? How good is she? She's the pitcher you got to beat, right?
Well, she's really good. They do have 3 outstanding pitchers, but I'm expecting she's the one that they will use the most. She's very good. She changes speeds well. She has 3 different speeds. She throws the ball hard. She throws it in the mid-60s when she's throwing her faster stuff, and then she has an off-speed curve and then a change-up as well. So she does an outstanding job. I think it's just going to be a matter of if we can stay within ourselves, is if we can time her correctly and make sure we put people on so that we can move them around.
Did she pitch against you in 12? Was she part of that?
She did. She was a freshman. Yeah, she did. We saw other pitchers because it was a 3-game series, but she was one of them, yes.
How'd she do?
She did okay. You know, at that point, she still has a little bit of problem with this now, but it was a point in softball where there were a lot of illegal pitches being thrown, so that was kind of a deal, and that's something that she battles a tiny bit now, but I think her changeup has come into its own now. She's a lot older. She's the Pac-12 Player of the Year. I mean, she's outstanding. So I think she's a completely different player as well.
And you said UCLA does everything the right way, plays the game the right way.
I think so.
What does that mean exactly?
They don't cheat their way through the system. They have great recruits. They're out. They're working hard. They don't look for cheap ways to get on base. They do everything. They have outstanding pitching. They don't try to intimidate you in a strange way. They just go out, they play softball, and then the game pays them back. And they're just a quality program. From top to bottom, they treat their players well. Their players graduate. They go on and they have excellent careers outside of softball. Some of them stay in softball. They've had a number of Olympians. They've had a number of players on the national team when softball was still in the Olympics. So, you know, they do everything right on the field and off the field. And they have an outstanding coaching staff that is both intelligent, and Lisa Fernandez is also on their staff. So I think she adds a lot of winning attitude, but not to take anything away from their head coach. I think she's probably one of the smartest in the sport.
I've heard it suggested you have a better stadium than UCLA.
We have a lot better stadium than UCLA. We have a lot better stadium than UCLA. We also have a lot bigger fan base than UCLA. So when I'm scouting the games and you look at regionals, their crowd doesn't even come close to the crowd that we put in at regionals and during our SEC home weekends. So I think that the support, we have a lot greater support for softball actually in the state of Kentucky. I do think that they have a lot more players to pick from, just sheer numbers, because they are in the Southern California area, so that kind of helps even it out from a competition standpoint. But in terms of FAM support, university support, I definitely think we beat them in that regard.
Talk about what Griffin means to the team.
Yeah, well, Griffin's everything to the program. She's caught every game, every pitch since she's been at Kentucky, and she's, and this is the end of her junior year, so that's 3 years running. It's a very physically demanding job. She's done a great job. She's handled all 4 of our pitchers, and while we've talked about Kelsey a lot lately, all 4 of them have pitched a lot and won a lot of games this year, and they're all very different. And then also Griffin's batting in the middle of the order, and sometimes I think that poses challenges because when you catch so much, I think it really does a number on your legs. So I definitely think that it's taken a toll on her power numbers, and I think anytime your power numbers go down, there's stuff that you have to deal with mentally. But she's had a great attitude about that, and she fights and she continues to do things well. And as you saw this weekend at regional, she came up with a big hit, scored a bunch of runs in the championship game. So Griffin's a fighter, and she's really brings a lot of heart and determination to the program.
What sense do you have of how many fans will follow you guys out there?
I don't think we'll have a lot of fans follow us out there. First of all, it's really expensive. But second of all, I think the fact that all the games are on ESPN for the Super Regionals for softball allows people to be able to stay at home, watch it on their TV, and we get great coverage with a lot of cameras. So it's a great thing. So I don't expect a lot of fans will go out there. If for some reason we can figure out how to get past UCLA, I do expect we would have a bunch in Oklahoma City. But I think just TV alone has changed the dynamic of the sport to the point where people can comfortably save up some money, watch it on TV, and have a really good time doing it.
Sounds like it's a winning proposition for you recruiting-wise, just to be on that stage. And, winning, of course, is the name of the game, but you, in a sense, you're going to win no matter what.
Yeah, I think so. When I was told yesterday that we've been on national TV 11 times this year. So anytime you can do that, that is awesome for your recruiting, for your fan base. And, the name of the game, you always need to recruit players that are better than the ones that you currently have. And then you hope that your program is good enough that once they get here, they get better and better and better, so those new talented players can't beat out your older girls. And that's kind of the formula that we've used here, and it seems to be working. But anytime you can be on TV, you bring recruits from not just our area, but it allows us to expand our recruiting base so that we can really get into the hotbeds that all the other SEC teams are in. And you can see with all the Southern players that we have, that we've been able to do that.